Hey family, this is day 86 of our Reading Through the Bible Together in a Year series. Today we're starting the second book of Samuel, or Shemuel, the second half of the entirety of Shemuel if you're reading in the Hebrew Bible. But where we left off at the end of 1 Samuel yesterday was that Saul has died. He fell on his own sword because he knew he was going to lose the battle, and he didn't want to lose the battle. And so he died, and the Philistines also killed his sons, including Jonathan, right? David's good and close best friend. And so we're going to see how that plays out a little bit today. After the death of Shaul, when David had returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites, and David had stayed 2 days in Ziklag, on the third day, behold, a man came out of the camp from Shaul, with his clothes torn and earth on his head. When he came to David, he fell to the earth and showed respect. David said to him, "Where do you come from?" He said to him, "I have escaped out of the camp of Israel." David said to him, "How did it go? Please tell me." He answered, "The people have fled from the battle, and many of the people also have fallen and are dead. Shaul and Jonathan his son are dead also." David said to the young man who told him, "How do you know that Shaul and Jonathan his son are dead?" The young man who told him said, "As I happened by chance on Mount Gilboa, behold, Shaul was leaning on his spear, and behold, the chariots and the horsemen followed close behind him. When he looked behind him, he saw me and called to me. I answered, 'Here I am.' He said to me, 'Who are you?' I answered him, 'I am an Amalekite.' He said to me, 'Please stand beside me and kill me, for anguish has taken hold of me because my life lingers in me.' So I stood beside him and killed him, because I was sure that he could not live after he had fallen. I took the crown that was on his head and the bracelet that was on his arm, and have brought them here to my lord." Then David took hold on his clothes and tore them, and all the men who were with him did likewise. They mourned, wept, and fasted until evening for Shaul and for Jonathan his son, and for the people of Yahweh, and for the house of Israel, because they had fallen by the sword. David said to the young man who told him, "Where are you from?" He answered, "I am the son of a foreigner, an Amalekite." David said to him, "Why were you not afraid to stretch out your hand to destroy Yahweh's anointed?" David called one of the young men and said, "Go near and cut him down." He struck him so that he died. David said to him, "Your blood be on your head, for your mouth has testified against you, saying, 'I have slain Yahweh's anointed.'" David lamented with this lamentation over Shaul and over Jonathan his son, and he commanded them to teach the children of Yehudah the song of the bow. Behold, it is written in the book of Yashar. "Your glory, Israel, was slain on your high places. How the mighty have fallen. Don't tell it in Gath. Don't publish it in the streets of Ashkelon, lest the daughters of the Philistines rejoice, lest the daughters of the uncircumcised triumph. You mountains of Gilboa, let there be no dew or rain on you, and no fields or offerings. For there the shield of the mighty was defiled and cast away. The shield of Shaul was not anointed with oil. From the blood of the slain, from the fat of the mighty, Jonathan's bow didn't turn back. Shaul's sword didn't return empty. Shaul and Jonathan were lovely and pleasant in their lives. In their death they were not divided. They were swifter than eagles. They were stronger than lions. You daughters of Israel, weep over Shaul, who clothed you delicately in scarlet, who put ornaments of gold on your clothing. How the mighty have fallen in the middle of the battle. Jonathan was slain on your high places. I am distressed for you, my brother Jonathan. You have been very pleasant to me. Your love to me was wonderful, surpassing the love of women. How the mighty have fallen, and the weapons of war have perished." After this, David inquired of Yahweh, saying, "Shall I go up into any of the cities of Yehudah?" Yahweh said to him, "Go up." David said, "Where shall I go up?" He said, "To Hebron." So David went up there with his 2 wives, Achinoam the Jezreelitess, and Abigail, the wife of Nabal the Carmelite. David brought up his men who were with him, every man with his household. They lived in the cities of Hebron. The men of Yehudah came, and there they anointed David king over the house of Yehudah. They told David, "The men of Yavesh Gilead were those who buried Shaul." David sent messengers to the men of Yavesh Gilead and said to them, "Blessed are you by Yahweh, that you have shown this kindness to your lord, even to Shaul, and have buried him. Now may Yahweh show loving kindness and truth to you. I also will reward you for this kindness, because you have done this thing. Now, therefore, let your hands be strong and be valiant, for Shaul your lord is dead, and also the house of Yehudah have anointed me king over them." Now Avner, the son of Ner, captain of Shaul's army, had taken Yishbosheth, the son of Shaul, and brought him over to Machanaim. He made him king over Gilead, over the Asherites, over Yezreel, over Ephraim, over Benjamin, and over all Yisrael. Yishbosheth, Shaul's son, was 40 years old when he began to reign over Yisrael, and he reigned 2 years. But the house of Yehuda followed David. The time that David was king in Hebron over the house of Yehuda was 7 years and 6 months. Avner, the son of Ner, and the servants of Yishbosheth, the son of Shaul, went out from Machanaim to Gibeon. Joab, the son of Zeruiah, and David's servants went out and met them by the pool of Gibeon. And they sat down, the one on the one side of the pool, and the other on the other side of the pool. Avner said to Joab, "Please, let the young men arise and compete before us." Joab said, "Let them arise." Then they arose and went over by number, 12 for Benjamin and for Yishbosheth, the son of Shaul, and 12 of David's servants. They each caught his opponent by the head and thrust his sword into his fellow's side, so they fell down together. Therefore that place in Gibeon was called Chelkat Hatzorim. The battle was very severe that day, and Avner was beaten, and the men of Israel before David's servants. The 3 sons of Zeruiah were there, Joab, Avishai, and Asahel. Asahel was as light of foot as a wild gazelle. Asahel pursued Avner. He didn't turn to the right hand or to the left from following Avner. Then Avner looked behind him and said, "Is that you, Asahel?" He answered, "It is." Avner said to him, "Turn away to your right hand or to your left, and grab one of the young men and take his armor." But Asahel would not turn away from following him. Avner said again to Asahel, "Turn away from following me. Why should I strike you to the ground? How then could I look Joab, your brother, in the face?" However, he refused to turn away. Therefore Avner with the back end of the spear struck him in the body, so that the spear came out behind him, and he fell down there and died in the same place. As many as came to the place where Asahel fell down and died stood still. But Joab and Avishai pursued Avner. The sun went down when they had come to the hill of Ammah that lies before Giah by the way of the wilderness of Gibeon. The children of Benjamin gathered themselves together after Avner and became one band and stood on the top of a hill. Then Avner called to Joab and said, "Shall the sword devour forever? Don't you know that it will be bitterness in the latter end? How long will it be then before you ask the people to return from following their brothers?" Joab said, "As God lives, if you had not spoken, surely then in the morning the people would have gone away, and not each followed his brother." So Joab blew the trumpet, and all the people stood still and pursued Yisrael no more. And they fought no more. Avner and his men went all that night through the Arava, and they passed over the Yarden, and went through all Bitron, and came to Machanaim. Joab returned from following Avner, and when he had gathered all the people together, 19 men of David's and Asahel were missing. But David's servants had struck Benjamin, Avner's men, so that 360 men died. They took up Asahel and buried him in the tomb of his father, which was in Bethlehem. Joab and his men went all night, and the day broke on them at Hebron. Now there was a long war between Shaul's house and David's house. David grew stronger and stronger, but Shaul's house grew weaker and weaker. Sons were born to David in Hebron. His firstborn was Amnon of Ahinoam the Jezreelitist, and his second Chilav of Avgail, the wife of Nabal the Carmelite, and the third Avshalom, the son of Maacah, the daughter of Talmai, king of Geshur, and the fourth Adoniah, the son of Chagit, and the fifth Shephatiah, the son of Avital, and the sixth Yitream of Eglah, David's wife. These were born to David in Hebron. While there was war between Shaul's house and David's house, Avner made himself strong in Shaul's house. Now Shaul had a concubine whose name was Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah. And Yishbosheth said to Avner, "Why have you gone in to my father's concubine?" Then Avner was very angry about Yishbosheth's words, and said, "Am I a dog's head that belongs to Yehuda? Today I show kindness to your father Shaul's house, to his brothers and to his friends, and have not delivered you into the hand of David. And yet you charge me today with a fault concerning this woman. God do so to Avner and more also, if, as Yahweh has sworn to David, I don't do even so to him, to transfer the kingdom from Shaul's house, and to set up David's throne over Israel and over Yehuda, from Dan even to Beersheba." He could not answer Avner another word because he was afraid of him. Avner sent messengers to David on his behalf, saying, "Whose is the land?" and saying, "Make your alliance with me, and behold, my hand will be with you to bring all Israel around to you." David said, "Good, I will make a treaty with you, but one thing I require of you. That is, you will not see my face unless you first bring Michal, Shaul's daughter, when you come to see my face." David sent messengers to Ishbosheth, Shaul's son, saying, "Deliver me my wife Michal, whom I was given to marry for 100 foreskins of the Philistines." Ishbosheth sent and took her from her husband Paltiel, the son of Laish. Her husband went with her, weeping as he went, and followed her to Bahurim. Then Avner said to him, "Go, return." And he returned. Avner had communication with the elders of Israel, saying, "In times past you sought for David to be king over you. Now then, do it. For Yahweh has spoken of David, saying, By the hand of my servant David I will save my people Israel out of the hand of the Philistines, and out of the hand of all their enemies." Avner also spoke in the ears of Benjamin, and Avner went also to speak in the ears of David in Hebron all that seemed good to Israel, and to the whole house of Benjamin. So Avner came to David to Hebron, and 20 men with him. David made Avner and the men who were with him a feast. Avner said to David, "I will arise and go, and will gather all Israel to my lord the king, that they may make a covenant with you, and that you may reign over all that your soul desires." David sent Avner away, and he went in peace. Behold, David's servants and Joab came from a raid and brought in a great plunder with them. But Avner was not with David in Hebron, for he had sent him away, and he had gone in peace. When Joab and all the army who was with him had come, they told Joab, "Avner the son of Ner came to the king, and he has sent him away, and he has gone in peace." Then Joab came to the king and said, "What have you done? Behold, Avner came to you. Why is it that you have sent him away, and he is already gone? You know Avner the son of Ner. He came to deceive you, and to know your going out and your coming in, and to know all that you do." When Joab had come out from David, he sent messengers after Avner, and they brought him back from the well of Sirah. But David didn't know it. When Avner had returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside into the middle of the gate to speak with him quietly, and struck him there in the body, so that he died for the blood of Asahel his brother. Afterward, when David heard it, he said, "I and my kingdom are guiltless before Yahweh forever of the blood of Avner the son of Ner. Let it fall on the head of Joab and on all his father's house. Let there not fail from the house of Joab one who has a discharge, or one who is a leper, or who leans on a staff, or who falls by the sword, or who lacks bread." So Joab and Avishai his brother killed Avner, because he had killed their brother Asahel at Gibeon in the battle. David said to Joab and to all the people who were with him, "Tear your clothes and clothe yourselves with sackcloth, and mourn in front of Avner." King David walked behind the deathbed. They buried Avner in Hebron, and the king lifted up his voice and wept at Avner's grave, and all the people wept. The king lamented for Avner and said, "Should Avner die as a fool dies? Your hands weren't bound, and your feet weren't put into fetters. As a man falls before the children of iniquity, so you fell." All the people wept again over him. All the people came to urge David to eat bread while it was yet day, but David swore, saying, "God do so to me, and more also, if I taste bread or anything else until the sun goes down." All the people took notice of it, and it pleased them, as whatever the king did pleased all the people. So all the people in all Israel understood that day that it was not of the king to kill Avner the son of Ner. The king said to his servants, "Don't you know that a prince and a great man has fallen today in Israel? I am weak today, though anointed king. These men, the sons of Zeruiah, are too hard for me. May Yahweh reward the evildoer according to his wickedness." So we're seeing a lot of the good side of David's character in the reading for today. At the beginning, that the one guy that shows up after the battle where Saul dies, which he had nothing to do with, but then he goes to David and says, I killed him because he asked me to, and I knew that it would be good for you, and I brought you his crown, and assuming that David would be happy that this guy slain his enemy or whatever, slayed. But David's not happy about it and has the guy killed for reaching his hand out against Yahweh's anointed. But then David, he mourns for both Jonathan and Shaul. I mean, David knows the kind of guy that Saul's been, and that Saul has tried to kill him twice, and and that David has had the opportunity to kill him, but then hasn't, and keeps insisting, I know you're trying to kill me, but I'm not against you. Like I'm for you, right? You're Yahweh's anointed. And then finally, when Saul dies, David's not happy that resolution has taken place, whatever. He's not happy that Saul's out of his way anymore. He mourns for Saul, calls him a good man. He mourns for Jonathan, obviously, because they were great friends. And we see the same thing happen at the end of today's reading. After Abner gets killed, David mourns Abner, and he says a good man has fallen today, even though Abner has been against him as well and done all of these things. And so we're just kind of seeing this compassionate side of David who can look past the faults of people. And we should totally want to be following in David's footsteps in that, right? Because David is a man after God's own heart, right? We know that. And maybe one of the reasons why David is a man after God's own heart is because of David's compassion for those that even though they do wrong to him, he still sees their good qualities and who they are. So I just think it's a little bit of a beautiful side of David that we're seeing today. But where we're leaving off right now is that David is the king over the southern kingdom, which is Benjamin and Judah, or I guess at this point it's just Judah that he's over, and then the northern 10 tribes, which is considered Israel at this point, Ishbosheth, right, one of Shaul's sons, is in charge of. And so, on the verge of a civil war, but we're going to see how that plays out tomorrow. So I hope I've given you something to think about. Consider what it means to be a man after God's own heart, what it means that David is compassionate towards those who are evil to him, and how that might reflect with Jesus and what he says about, turning the other cheek, giving the cloak if they ask for your shirt, walking the extra mile, don't resist an evil person, love your enemies, recognizing that the people are not the evil, but evil is bigger than people, and evil has an influence on people, and so we shouldn't be seeing people as evil, but we should just be seeing how evil has affected people and have compassion for those in a broken state. And I honestly do think that is a comparison there. That's one of the reasons why David is who he is and why God wants David, the shepherd, to be king. It's because of his compassion for people. So I rambled, and I do that, but I hope you have a wonderful day.